Hey, I'm Abby and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. Today I want to talk to you about giving a presentation during an interview. Before we jump into that, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're looking forward to learning about how you can give a really great presentation during an interview. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can continue to receive life work balance advice delivered directly to you every week. I've worked with several interview preparation clients who have been tasked with the job of creating a presentation for an interview. And I myself have had to give several presentations as a part of an interview process. So I've got 5 tips for you on how you can give a really great presentation during an interview. Before I share those 5 tips, I would like to give you some insight as to why you may have been asked to give a presentation for your interview. It's possible that the people on the interview panel want you to give a presentation so that they can just generally get to know who you are as a person and as a potential employee. The purpose of this presentation may also be to help them determine how good of a fit you might be for this particular role, team, and organization. They may want to see your overall presentation skills. Maybe giving presentations is a part of the role that you're applying to, and it gives you the ability to show off some of your accomplishments. So those are some of the reasons why you may be asked to give a presentation as a part of an interview. The clients that I've worked with when it comes to giving presentations have primarily been asked to give presentations that are more of a general, informative presentation about who they are as individuals. This presentation typically highlights their background, their experience, maybe some select accomplishments that are associated with the role that they're applying to. So some things that they've achieved in their past that will demonstrate that they will have the ability to be successful in the role that they're applying to. But there are also clients that I've worked with who've had to give presentations because it's a part of the role that they're applying to. And those are my experiences that I've had as an interview candidate giving presentations during an interview. I've worked as a trainer and a facilitator, and when I'm applying to roles that might align with that type of work, it's likely that the people on the other side of the table want to see my training and facilitation skills. So I've designed presentations that can be a quick snapshot to show my presentation and my design skills. Sometimes the presentation might accomplish all of those things. Maybe the presentation is for you to not only show off the skills that you have when it comes to designing a presentation and facilitating or presenting information, but it's also to give the interviewer some insight about who you are, your background, your experience, and your education. So now that we've talked about why you might actually have to give a presentation as a part of an interview, let's talk about my 5 tips that I have for you to have a really successful presentation. First, do not get fancy with any fancy formatting, transitions, or animation. If you are going to be giving this presentation, you want it to be as clean, simple, and straightforward as possible. If you have text zooming in, zooming out, appearing and disappearing, or photos flashing in your presentation, that will be significantly distracting to the people who are watching your presentation. Keep your formatting of your slides or whatever you're using for your presentation as simple, clean, and straightforward as possible. Now, this doesn't mean that your slides have to be boring. It just means that they should be consistent and not too visually distracting for the people who will be watching your presentation. My second tip is to follow the format that the interviewers have given you. Now, it's very likely that they will give you a PDF document with instructions for your presentation or instructions written out in the body of an email. It's unlikely that they'll just say, give us a presentation with no guidance or guidelines at all. So follow the guidelines that they provide to you. Now, if they do not provide guidance or guidelines of any sort, it is perfectly acceptable to ask for some clarification. What's the intention of this presentation? Do they want to know about just your background, your experience, your education, and how it relates to this role? Are they expecting you to give presentations as a part of this role? So are they wanting you to give a presentation on a spreadsheet that you've designed or some results that you've achieved? It's okay to ask for clarification about what they're looking for and what the purpose of this presentation might be. So tip number 2, follow their format. It's likely they will give you some guidelines. You will want to follow those guidelines. If you deviate from those guidelines, it's a possibility that that deviation can hurt you and hurt your success in the overall interview process. My third tip is to keep the content on your slides simple and concise. I talked about formatting as tip number 1. You do not want to get fancy with formatting. You also do not want to get too fancy with what is actually on your slides, the content on your slides. Less is more. Be simple, be concise with the words and the phrases that you're using on your slides, because simple is better. You don't want the people on the other side spending all of their time reading all of the text that you've got on your slides. You want the text on your slides to guide what you are going to be saying during this presentation. Do not read from your slides verbatim and only provide the information that's on your slides. Instead, have bullet points of reminder text for you to help guide you through your storytelling process. My fourth tip is to use photos strategically. Design your presentation, have only text on your presentation, and then you can start inserting some photos. If this is a presentation where the intention is more to get to know you, then it's okay to include some personal photos of you. If this presentation is going to be more role specific, then it might be more effective to use photos that are related to the role or whatever the content or topic of the presentation is that you're giving. For example, I worked with someone who had to design a presentation and tell a story about one of their biggest accomplishments in the role that they were going into. One of these accomplishments had to do with using mining equipment. Now, the role that the person was entering wasn't specifically mining related, but the story was mining related. And so I suggested that this person use a picture of the mining equipment used to give additional context to the people that he was speaking or presenting to. So use photos strategically. Understand the purpose of this presentation and use photos and graphics in a way to help supplement your storytelling. And finally, my fifth and final tip is to proofread. You want to make sure that all of the information on your slides is accurate. You may even want to include references. You want to ensure that your grammar is appropriate, that you are not misspelling words. So proofread, proofread, proofread. One minor misspelling or one minor mistake could really leave a negative lasting impression on the team that you're presenting to. You want to give yourself the most opportunity to succeed. So do yourself a favor and proofread the document, the presentation, the slides, whatever it might be, before you actually give your presentation. If you feel like you need a set of fresh eyes, ask someone close to you to do a quick review of the documentation as well. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Attention to detail is a highly desirable trait for almost every role that you could be applying to. Missing spelling errors, grammatical errors, things like that could be a huge blow to your overall interview success. If you have an upcoming interview and a presentation is part of that, and you're looking for someone to help you be more strategic about how you design your presentation or even the content on the slides, feel free to reach out to me today. I offer interview strategy sessions, and reviewing and giving feedback on interview presentations is one of my specialties. So if that's something that interests you, I've got information for you in the description box below. I've got my website where you can click to see the various services I offer as well as pricing. And you can even schedule with me directly on my website. And I've got my email so that you can just reach out to me directly that way as well. So if you've got an upcoming interview and you would like some help preparing yourself for that interview, please reach out to me today. Spots are limited each week, so reach out to me as soon as you know you have an upcoming interview and you would like that additional support. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you have any additional questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas on the topic of interview presentations, please throw them in the comments box below. I do my best to get back to each person who has commented individually, but just know that if I'm not able to get back to you quickly, the things that you share in the comments, the experiences, your questions, etc., will likely help someone who's in the future looking at the comments and going through something similar as you. So if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, throw them in the comments box below. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can continue to receive life, work, balance advice delivered directly to you every week. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.